The Pope's Final Message, a novella by P.J. Gott and Logan Light. Chapter 7, The Message in Stone. When Claudius assumed the purple in 41 CE, one of his first acts was to release the man known as Alexander and Germanicus and Gamaliel from prison. He embraced him in the very chamber where chains had once held him. "Brother," Claudius said, "our time has come." Alexander's robe was clean, his eyes tired but determined. "Let Rome remember justice," he said. "Let Jerusalem prepare." Alexander stood, a steward of peace, a servant of the Great Mother. And Philo wept, not for vengeance, but for hope. The goddess, long buried, stirred again. The line had returned. The fire survived. Rome, 72 CE. Twilight slanted through the high windows of a quiet villa near the Esquiline Hill. Candles flickered, incense smoldered. Agrippina, now veiled as Vespasian's mistress Caenis, sat in silence, her eyes closed, her hands resting on her lap. Across from her, Germanicus, now masked as Polemon, watched the flames. They had lived many lives. They had worn many names. But this evening, they were husband and wife, sister and brother, priest and priestess. They bore the responsibility of preserving God-Goddess, and they were concerned. "He's winning," Agrippina whispered. "Paulus, his Jesus isn't the Nazarene. He's erasing the story. He's erasing the baker." Germanicus nodded slowly. "He's turned Jesus the Nazarene High Priest into a God-man from a village, not a bloodline traced to first mother and father." "We need something they can't burn," she said. "A message in more than ink." "Sardonyx," he murmured. 5-layered stone. Large, 1 foot in diameter. It will defy destruction." She stood slowly, joints stiff but spirit sharp. "Then we need to decide how to speak through it." He motioned her over to a small table and began sketching. The heavens first, the lives that created the script, the dead who guard the living. She pointed. "Here, Marcus Antonius. We can depict him holding the shield of Zeus to reveal that he was the first to portray Yazoo. Next to him, Augustus," she pointed, "here, with his emperor's staff. Cleopatra floating in the heavens, holding the Eye of Ra. Then Julius, riding Pegasus, his horse, a horse only he could tame. And between Augustus and Julius," Germanicus added, "the lares of Augustus, the soul of the state, marking the inauguration of each emperor. The day Claudius became emperor and the day we put on our masks as Narcissus and Pallas," she whispered. Germanicus continued sketching. "The middle row. We stand in the center, staring into each other's eyes with everlasting love." She smiled. "Always and forever." She pointed again. "Julia, my sister, here, sitting, holding our grandson Nero as a child, as he was when Claudius was inaugurated. And beside her, us, Germanicus and Agrippina. Then Tiberius with the emperor's staff. But he hands the shield of Zeus and Athena to us, not to Claudius, because you were Yazoo," she said, "and I was Pallas Athena. And because we ruled," Germanicus said softly, "even when unseen. Livia on her throne, right here. Claudius reaching for the emperor's staff, but it's not his alone. he will share it with the freedmen, Narcissus and Pallas. Us. She pointed to his sketch. Our daughter, his wife at his side, here, far right. And underground, Germanicus said, fictional and mythological men, women, gods, goddesses, the Beit Lehem holding her son, the center of attention, roles played and passed through time for entertainment and remembrance. They sat, silence lingered, heavy with memory and unspoken disappointment. At last she broke it, and Paulus in the foreground. Germanicus's eyes darkened. Lucius Paulus, the son of betrayal, the one who rewrote Mark to support his lies, who silenced the great mother, the watchtower of the flock? His face reddened. The one who refuses to acknowledge that Ab El and Elohim were the gods of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? He shook his head. His body stiffened. No. Agrippina exhaled slowly. But he's also our nephew, our adopted son. He stood still, mute, yet everything about him spoke reluctance. She closed her eyes, waiting, until inspiration found form. Cameo will show him beneath Livia's throne, head bowed, posture collapsed, dejected, disgraced, stripped of power for imprisoning Alexander. She tapped his shoulder, also known as you. His body loosened. He began to relax. Finally, slowly, he gave a sharp nod of approval. Then let him be remembered by the gesture he most deserves. The Empress shall mark his shame with one gesture, one finger, the finger, pointed straight at him, at Caligula. Agrippina smiled, pleased. Perfect. She put an X on the sketch to mark the spot where Paulus's treason would be memorialized in stone. She tugged gently at her earlobe, as though listening to some ancient whisper. Now the title. It must reveal what Paulus twisted, that the crucifixion was not a transaction for appeasement, but a rescue, a return, the resurrection of daughter Jerusalem. Germanicus's voice swelled with pride as he announced his brilliant solution. Triumph of Joseph at the court of the Pharaoh. The rise from slavery to sovereignty. A living testament to outlast the lie that a man's brute strength is of greater value than a woman's wisdom and compassion. It is the good news of the goddess, returned to restore the sacred balance. She drew him into her arms, her voice soft but certain. Let the truth be layered in stone. Let those with eyes and wisdom see and understand. March 21st, 74 CE, the Ides of March. The sun waited for the Vestals to form a double line from the narrow gate of the Porta Maggiore to the freshly inscribed house of bread, the Beit Lehem. From the shadows, the lovers appeared, stooped by age yet graceful, walking hand in hand as if borne by angels. He carried the cameo close to his heart. She carried a small satchel. Inside were burial spices, myrrh and frankincense, crushed rose petals, a sprig of mint, and a vial of oil steeped with marjoram and bay laurel. They acknowledged each vestal as they passed between them. When they reached the open threshold of the tomb, they stopped, knelt, and offered a brief, silent prayer. Agrippina reached into the satchel and withdrew a bundle wrapped in violet cloth. She placed it in the hands of the eldest Vestal Virgin, entrusted now to prepare their final resting place. Germanicus whispered a blessing, first in Hebrew, then in Greek. He handed the cameo to their grandson, another Nasi Gamaliel and Jesus, who would carry on the Nazarene legacy. As the cameo was passed from elder to youth, Germanicus said softly, "This will tell them what we fought to preserve. That Cleopatra, Julius, and Marcus conceived Jesus and the Magdalene not to deceive but to restore. They resurrected the blessings of the Beit Lehem and her daughter Jerusalem. Keep it safe, that it may carry the truth through time, hidden in plain sight, until the world is ready to remember." Agrippina anointed the stone that would seal the tomb with ochre-infused oil. With her finger, she drew a spiral in the red-tinged oil, the symbol of earth, blood, and resurrection. "The fire continues to burn," she murmured. Petals were scattered, incense was lit, the air thickened with the scent of remembrance and faith. Their hands touched. One final ritual, one enduring vow. The inscriptions would speak long after their voices were gone. They turned and watched as their grandchildren took up the ancient roles, Jesus and the Magdalene, moving in sacred rhythm. The Vestals sang like angels, circling and spiraling in celebration. This year's climax would not be a play alone, but a passage. The lovers entered the Beit Lehem confident that their precious cameo would forever preserve the truth. When the sun broke free from the horizon, the songs turned to soft humming. The dancers knelt, heads bowed. It was time. He pulled her close as they waved their last goodbye, turned and entered the house of bread, the baker's tomb. Days later, as they lay on the padded cots, wrapped in white linen and covered in darkness, she said, "I wonder how many centuries will pass before someone recognizes this house of bread, closes the Bethlehem circle. And I wonder if our adversaries will try to destroy it," he said. He sensed her smile when she answered, "From Bethlehem the town, to Bethlehem the Virgin Mother, to Beit Lehem the daughter of Goddess Mother, to Bethlehem this house of bread. It is a circle that cannot be denied." "And," he added, "they will recognize our family portrait on the triumph of Joseph's cameo. It will be treasured. And Cleopatra, Julius, and Marcus will be redeemed, their reputations restored, honored for their genius." March 28, 74 CE, 12:12 p.m. Their work was finished. Agrippina drew a final breath, then gently patted the codex, wrapped in linen and bound against her chest. Its pages held a message not for their time, but for an age yet to awaken. She whispered her final words into the silence. "Guard the truth until the world remembers." Their breathing stopped in unison. One cycle closed. 2,000 years of silence. And with that silence, the next began. Thomas would preserve their wisdom. Have you discovered the beginning? You now look for the end? For where the beginning is, there the end will be. Blessed is he who will stand at the beginning. He will know the end and will not experience death. This concludes Chapter 7. Join us next week for Chapter 8, The Last Nasi.